To Afghanistan now, and the country's most deadly earthquake for 20 years. At least 1,000 people have been killed. And because of the remote region where it happened, rescue attempts have been difficult, to put it mildly. Some have been trying to dig survivors out of the rubble with their hands. Communication networks have been badly hit, and the Taliban has called for more international aid. Earlier, I spoke to Sardar Naeem, who's head of the Gulzad Foundation. He's in Kabul and is planning to travel to the region tomorrow to help rescue efforts. I started by asking him what he knows about what's happening on the ground.
The places that were affected the most are quite remote places. Like, for example, the districts that are mainly affected are around 7 to 8 hours from any main towns. So the rescue has been a very difficult and tough job to perform. So obviously there are efforts, but mainly not as enough as it's needed right now. So the Taliban government has asked the UN agencies also to help them with this disaster.
More on that then, if we can, because I know the Taliban has asked the international community for aid, but given international sanctions, we know that a lot of international agencies are wary about working with the Taliban, and indeed many have left Afghanistan, haven't they? What kind of challenges will that present? How likely is it that aid can come?
Well, I think, we predominantly will be focusing on the UN efforts and the UN agencies. They're the only big agency who is working in Afghanistan right now. And I'm pretty sure that they will start getting aid to the people. But, the first few 24 hours, 48 hours are critical. So everybody is trying to get there as soon as possible. And that's why we are trying to get there tomorrow morning, first thing, and providing some aid to the people who are affected.
And what kind of aid will you be taking with you?
Are we taking food essentials, like we're taking package which contains flour, cooking oil, beans, salt, and water, drinking water. So we're doing that on behalf of the Gulzad Foundation, and today we've prepared to leave tomorrow. We'll be helping 350 families. So hopefully around 1,000 people we will try to help tomorrow.
And what are you hearing about hospitals in the region, how they're coping?
Well, it's terrible. As I said, the place is remote and very difficult to get to. All the hospitals in the nearest town is overcrowded by patients, basically. And we're seeing some horrific pictures from that. And also some real tragic human stories. Like, for example, there's a picture you may have seen of an old man in his 70s who lost his entire family. There was someone else two people who were left from a family of 14. Another person left from a family of 17. So these are just very tragic stories. I spoke to somebody who was actually in that region when the earthquake happened, and they've just returned back to Kabul. And they were saying that it was horrific. That basically, one of the things which was the most horrific when this happened was the noise. The sheer noise of the earthquake was something that they had never experienced and heard before.